have an intro, so
No
I didn't
intro.
think of anything. So here we are, jumping right into it, just like good YouTube videos should.
That's right.
There you go.
No need to waste time.
Nope, we're jumping into it. And action.
And actually, what are you waiting on me?
Yeah.
Is that it?
It's your show. I just
Oh my
sit
goodness.
here. I'm
Well,
just here to
I
sit.
thought you were going to do an introduction with the, Sabbath school we talked about and stuff like that, but I can't believe he's leaving all this to me.
It's your show. I'm just here for the water.
Oh, moral support.
Yeah.
Thanks for
We
all the
went to
help.
Sabbath school. We talked. And action.
Okay, well, today in Sabbath school we talked about prayer, and of course, as the topic of prayer always goes, of course, we talked about like communication, because that's what prayer is, right? Communication with God. And
Oh, wait. There's
what?
a great big fuzzy thing in
Oh.
front of the camera.
We have Fluff again, who wants to, just take over the program. Okay, there we
I
go.
think maybe just pick her up and move her.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
some people communicate with God quite often, and some people don't. And it's much like, say, how Brett communicates with his siblings, which is...
We don't really. I mean, I really don't know what it is with my family. We don't hate each other. We don't.
true.
That I'm aware of. We just don't talk. It's not like we talk. I mean, we don't text. We don't email. We don't. It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of how it is. I mean, I'll call Mom every now and then, and Kathy and Craig. My sister's probably the one I, talk to once every 5 years. But it's odd, we have passed through Chattanooga, and I'll text her, hey, we're going to be in Chattanooga. She lives there in Chattanooga, and she'll say, oh, come by, we'll meet, I'll meet at the, Cracker Barrel or something, and she'll come bopping in, and we'll sit down and talk like we just saw each other yesterday, and it's just weird, like, and they'll eat lunch, and we'll chat, and then I won't talk to her again for 5 years. It's just really odd.
Yeah, it is. It's more like a cousin thing
Yeah,
instead of a sibling thing.
yeah.
But, yeah. Anyways, in the meantime, my sister and I have entirely different communication style. We talk at least, bare minimum once a week, and that might happen once or twice a year. Sometimes we talk every day, at least a few times a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we just don't have that much to say. Hey, how you doing? Good. You? Great. All right. Call you in a few years. Cool.
I don't know. He's got some pretty long conversations with your brother.
Yeah, with Craig. I can, Craig's. I guess we can talk about movies and stuff like that. He always has advice, like, here's how I should be doing things. And so he always has things to say. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, okay, so this may seem like we're changing topics, but we're not really. So I've decided to take an online summer class. I took a class last year and I enjoyed it. So I thought, stay in a role, because if I don't, maybe next fall I'll lose the momentum. And besides that, it's fun learning new things. So I decided to pick what I would hope would be an easy class for this summer. And partly because Brett had suggested it previously. And previously I was like, no, I won't take that class. It sounds boring. It doesn't seem like anything I'd be interested in taking. The class was ethics.
Yeah.
And
Let's just review that. Nothing I'd be interested in. Ethics doesn't interest me at all.
that's not
Don't
what I
need
meant.
them. Don't want them.
Which is
Let's
absolutely...
also think about the whole I'll take an easy class, because there was an easy ethics class. There was a 200 ethics, but no, that one was for losers. That was for intellectually challenged people. She went with the 300 level
I'm sorry,
ethics. I'm not
but
wasting my time with
that's
these little
all right.
menial ethics. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to get to the gut ethics, the big ones.
Well,
So don't say I chose an easy class.
easier than last year's class.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Continue, please.
Yes. So okay. So, anyways, here we are, And so, of course, we have homework.
Yep.
And so now, based off some of that homework, the book that we're reading for class is called Moral Ethics by Scott Ray. Oh, no, wait, Moral Choices by Scott Ray. And some of the homework, of course, you read the chapter, you do a chapter review, just pick a few quotes and then your comments on them. And so one of the quotes I picked for chapter 1 was this: to have a renewal of character is to have a renewal of a creedal order that constrains, limits, binds, and obligates and compels. And I liked that.
You should probably break that down.
Well, why don't you do that, Mr.
I didn't read the book. I didn't take the class. I didn't sign up for Christian Ethics 400 summer session. Okay, read it again.
To have a renewal of character is to have a renewal of a creedal order that constrains, limits, binds, obligates, and compels.
So the basic well, it's not even a theological principle. It's a moralistic, even a secular moralistic principle of if you're going to have some point in your life where you are, something has brought you to a point of dissatisfaction with yourself, your life, or the world around you, and so you have a moment of internal reflection. So you're having a restructuring of the ego and the id, and basically to have that deep of a character transformation, you reevaluate and reorder your values, and thus you come up with a list of creeds or things you believe to be true or that you believe are right to follow. And it's usually in a sense of I'm going to cut things that I have determined are detrimental to me or my friends, family, loved ones, or the world, and I'm going to start doing other actions that have an opposite effect or influence on yourself and the world around you. So when you have this transformation, you're having a reshuffling of priorities and moralistic viewpoints on the world and yourself, and thus you come up with this this list of, and it may not even be an official something you write down, but it might be, of credos, things you are now going to live by, and it tends to be things you're limiting, you're cutting out, you're trimming off, you're changing behavior based on, what your life has been up to at that point, or some experience that makes you think this needs to change. And it's usually a way of reordering your values, and it's limiting in the sense I think he's talking about. You're cutting these things out and you're stopping these particular actions based on these principles. I'm going to prevent myself from doing these negative things to pursue positive things. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're sort of creating a structural words to live by for yourself.
Yeah, and so basically when I had read that, I thought that is what a relationship with God is, right? It provides a relationship of communication, basically. It provides the opportunities for God to show up and tell us things that would then change how we choose to live.
Yeah.
Or we could choose to live.
Yeah. I mean, it's like in 12-step, and the sponsor tells you, these things you're doing not working real well for you, are they? Maybe we should reevaluate some of your actions and think, are there better, more positive ways I can react to stress in life? And, God can come up and say the same thing of, maybe this pride thing of yours isn't working so well for you. Maybe we should look at that and think, oh, let's try humility. Maybe that'll have a better,
Better outcome.
Yeah.
Yes, So basically someone in Sabbath school today asked if anyone had heard God speak to them. And, I find it interesting that nobody really wants to talk about that because nobody really was answering that. And I decided not to comment because there's been any number of times in Sabbath school already that I've said, well, God said to me thus and such, and I went on to tell a story and what I learned from that and such like that. So I just decided to mind my own business and let other people share their stories. And there was one woman, though, she said that she could think of a couple of times where she had clearly knew that she heard heard God speak to her.
Yeah.
And there were other times, of course, that she knew God was communicating with her because maybe there was something that she was wondering about, and then, like, say, maybe the pastor said something, and maybe she heard a song on the radio, and maybe she read something in her morning devotional time, and they were all saying the same thing, and they all were basically an answer to what it was that she was concerned about or wondering about or something like that. So, the more we talk to someone and they talk back to us, the better we know that person. And okay, so we need to keep in mind that we don't always have to just hear the words of God talking to us. Just reading the Bible, all of the words in the Bible are God's words to us. And God can use those. Obviously, He uses those to help change us. And they have power. The words of God has power, if we choose that, to constrain us, to limit us, compel us to live them out. And while words like constraint and limit and binding and compel don't sound like freedom, but living out the words of God are true freedom from ourself, from our tendency of human nature to, not make wise choices.
Yeah, I mean, I've used to start all my Bible classes with these games one particular game that, actually, all my classes back at Union, I did this. First day of class, you go into your first day of class at college, and you're like, what's it going to be? Oh, we're going to go over this syllabus and da-da-da. And so when class starts, I'd get everybody, and we'd either clear all the desks, put all the desks to the side, or we were already I'd meet in an open room. And they're all standing around. I said, put all your bags, everybody just kind of mixed in the middle. And then I'd take this ball, and I'd put down the ball just in the middle of the room, and I'd blow a whistle and just wait. And it's really fun to see the reaction, because, like, what are we supposed to do? It was, I think, no matter what class it was, I had this ball, and so somebody would pick it up, and sometimes they just stand there and hold it. Sometimes they just start tossing it to each other and playing around, and hardly anything happens. And so then I blow the whistle again, and I take the ball, and then I put 2 cones on one side, 2 cones on there, and I put the ball back in the middle, and I go blow the whistle again. And so then they start looking around, and eventually somebody picks the ball up and walks over and either throws it through the 2 cones, or they walk past the 2 cones, and I blow the whistle and go, score. And then I pick it up and put it, and little by little I add structure. And at the end, I've got them into 2 teams, and we're playing human foosball. The one ball, so you're tossing, and then later I'll add a second ball, and this one you can only kick, and then there's a ball to toss, a ball to kick, and now you can only move in any directions. And by the end of class, it's great. We're having this really fun game they've never played before. And so then I sit them down, like, walk through the whole thing from the beginning to the end of class. What happened? What changed? What made it change? And all the way through. And what you get in the end, pretty basic to see, is that the more structure we had, the more rules we had, the more freedom everybody had to participate and have fun. And then I hit them with rules don't limit you, rules set you free to learn or have fun. And I kind of use that as the spiritual analogies too, as the 10 Commandments. Like, they're not limiting you, they're setting you free to be able to live your best life. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so sometimes you go, well, how do rules, things I can and can't do, how does that freedom? That's not freedom, that's restrictions. Like, no. There are things that keep you from hurting yourself and doing things that will limit your freedom to be able to enjoy life. And yeah.
Yes, it's true. And it's best experience living it out for yourself.
Yeah. Because it's a little, it looks different for everybody. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Yes, God has different experiences for everybody.
For everyone.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess that was it.
That was it.
Okay. All right. Well, hope you had a great Sabbath. And if you have cats, I hope they don't get in front of your cameras and block your live stream. But if they do, remember, cats need love too. All right. Have a great Sabbath. We'll see